So today is the 31st of October, so happy Halloween. I looked at the last video and was like, oh wow, my audio for some reason was cutting out. I think for some reason it was not picking up my voice easily enough, so I did change that, so hopefully this one it will be a little better. Um, after the high anxiety appointment that I I had to do my radiology appointment this morning for the external ultrasound. Thankfully, this person did read my notes, never touched me physically once, and was basically very reassuring that it was only an external ultrasound, which I appreciated because I was scared that they were going to try to do something internal. And this person was very like, no, 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 well, didn't even say no, no, no. I didn't have to ask. Like put forward, oh, your external ultrasound only abdominal, like no, nothing else. So I appreciate that. This person was a lot more nice about things. Um, couldn't see that well, and so had to push some and was apologetic. And I was like, as long as it's the wand touching me, it's not physically harming me. This is more of a mental painful thing than a physical painful thing. Um, it was still nerve wracking, and thankfully someone went with me, but um, it's done. The external ultrasound that has been suggested for years, it's done. The external ultrasound, first I think got offered to me when I still lived in New York, possibly. I don't remember the first time a doctor offered it. Could have been before we moved to New York, for all I know. Um, I could go back and watch my videos for hours and try to find a spot where I said, but I'm sure it's somewhere in there. But I'm rewatch all of that or whatever. Um, I do think it's interesting that they had a hard time seeing things. Um, I guess that you know isn't really telling of anything. Um, I just got the results back. That's why I'm making the video. And basically, it says what they could see was satisfactory, that they could go ahead with the surgery. But there wasn't a lot of explanation except that I from the imaging definitely don't seem to have cysts, which rules out that I am very unlikely to have polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. Now, PCOS is something that a couple of people have suggested before in the past that I might have, and that I just have like some sort of extreme version of it, to explain the hormone issues that I've had and the um, basically as an explanation to try to make it so that I'm not intersex or don't have con- congenital adrenal hyperplasia, whatever that is. Um, so now it's pretty much nailed down, unless something changes during the surgery, that I definitely either have the the hyperplasia thing or else that I am just outright intersex. Um, other than that, one of my ovaries is significantly smaller than the other one, but I mean, I'm not surprising. Um, like, I'm not surprised. Um, but everything else is like good enough or whatever. Like, again, they couldn't see it exactly, but they could see it enough to tell like they weren't going to have problems with surgery, which is really the biggest thing they care about. I won't actually know like a lot of details until after surgery. I was very afraid that they were going to like see something definitive from this ultrasound and then decide to do a whole bunch of testing, and they didn't, so that's a relief. um I don't want to go through a bunch of testing. I really hate it. um Especially for this surgery in specific, and be this surgeon in specific who's in charge of like referrals and stuff. I would like to get this surgery passed and out of the way, like very much so. Um, I have no idea if there's anything else because they specifically were trying to only make it go as quickly as possible and only look at stuff that was related to my actual surgery. They did not go looking at my whole abdomen or anything like that. They basically only looked at the quote unquote little triangle of ovary and uterus system. They didn't look at anything else. But they wanted it to go quickly so that I would not freak out or have any distress or whatever. Which I appreciate that again this woman read the notes and that was in the notes. Um, so maybe the surgeon was. It's funny because the person who went with me to both appointments was like, "You looked so scared when that surgeon was talking to you. You looked like you were gonna bolt and like just start running away, terrified." And it was unnerving to see you like that because I've never seen you like that. And I can understand that, but at the same time, maybe it maybe my fear translated better than just talking about it. And then when the resident brought the actual surgeon in, maybe she didn't know what to do at the time, but at least it obviously translated that I was actually genuinely not okay. Because it was in my notes for the external ultrasound that it has to be external and that it has to be quick, um, which I appreciated. Um, and that the only things that needed to be looked at was really like basically three things. So that's good. So I might only have one ovary that actually is like more normal for a girl to have, and the other one might be too anything. That doesn't surprise me. Um, I'm not weirded out by that or anything like that. It's pretty significantly. But oh well. They're both going away. It doesn't really matter how big they are or not big they are. They're just gonna both go away. Um, I also finally, I about cried when I got it. I was just so excited. On Saturday, I finally got my birth certificate, and because it's from the state of Alaska, of course it says amended, and it lists off the amendments at the bottom in pretty bold print. Um, they supposedly only do this for trans people, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is, um, it also says the reason for the amendment next to where it says what was amended. And like it says court order for where the name change stuff is. And then it says doctor affidavit for where the gender change stuff is. So at least that's allowable at all. Even if it is sucky that the birth certificate has all this like extra information on it, that doesn't necessarily need to be on there, and makes it feel kind of like a half-assed job, but at least it happened at all because there's some states you can't even do that. Um, so even though it was expensive and even though it was stressful, I have it done. Um, and hopefully people won't really pay attention to the amended part and they'll pay attention to the rest of it. Also, I have a birth certificate that looks like a birth certificate now. My original birth certificate looked really different. I don't even know how to describe it. It basically looked it was really old and yellow and had like a bunch of lines all over it and then there was stuff just written on the lines and the black lines were spaced like I don't know like an inch apart or something like that or maybe like 3/4 of an inch apart and then there was just writing on the line. And then there was a seal at the bottom uh, to show that it was an actual birth certificate. But it was like, I was born in a place that wasn't very developed or anything, in Alaska. And now I have a birth certificate that is like, looks like an actual certificate, and it's not just a weird lined paper with a seal. Now it's like, looks very official. um, and that's nice. It's nice to have like a birth certificate that looks cool instead of having to explain every time I give my birth certificate to people. And it's a real birth certificate, even if it looks funky like that. It's just, it looks funky. And like, I've gotten some raised eyebrows for sure about my birth certificate. So hopefully now I won't get any more raised eyebrows unless someone happens to look at the amendments, but hopefully that won't be a big thing. Um, Supposedly, a lot of jobs don't really care about birth certificates as much anymore, anyway. But if they do want my birth certificate or a copy of it or whatever, at least it'll say the right name on it. And most people are so busy doing stuff for their job, they don't really pay much attention besides that. Like, they might check the birthday and your name, and then they're like, okay, good enough. And they don't really care about anything else that's written on there. So hopefully it won't be an issue. I need to get a passport, and then I should be done with like documents as far as I can think of. I do still have some places that I have to change my name with that it's just a pain in the butt, but at least that's done. That's a big thing to have like the actual paperwork stuff finished with, except for the passport. That's like a big deal to me. And now if anyone's like questioning about my name or questioning about me, I have documentation, and that's big. And the ultrasound basically didn't tell anything specific except I don't have PCOS. Otherwise, it has like no specific information because they couldn't see anything good enough to describe anything that bad, um, or good for that matter. Except that it doesn't look like anything's like a too big of a size or too like swollen or weird size in a large way, which is good. I might have some other stuff that's a little smaller than normal, but it's fine. It's within um, functional ranges for getting the actual surgery, which is all they care about. Like, if you have like a big, massive uterus, it's a lot harder to go laparoscopically to do a hysterectomy. But if your stuff's a little too small, but it's not like crazy too small, well, it's still going to be fine. She actually said that she's going to use a robot to do my surgery, and that she shouldn't have to actually touch me basically at all. For the surgery, she's going to go ahead and let the robot do most of the work. And this means that the healing will be a lot more precise. Cuts will be a lot more precise. Um, she said that the spots where the scars will be slightly smaller, but they'll still be in the same spot, and that everything will be a lot easier to just sew up and be ready for my next surgery. And that's all fine with me. That's good by me. So there's the update. Um, I have not been losing any more hair really too much that I'm aware of. So hopefully it just stays where it's at. It only went up just a little more. So hopefully than it had always been. Like, I've always had like a pretty square like forehead thing going. So I've seen some guys before where it went up like here, and then it just like stopped. So at least I don't have that. Like, it's like here instead of up here. So um I think it's gonna be okay. It was just a little weird because I hadn't had any like physical changes from taking testosterone in such a long time, that it was weird when I had one, and it was such a like quickly over one. And also, I don't want to be bald, and it's important to catch balding, before you go bald. But at the same time, it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. I just receded a little bit on the corners of my hairline. Like, all of this all seems to be fine. I don't even know if maybe it's because I have been pushing my hair back more, and I used to just let it fall how the cowlicks went. And if it's just like my hair adjusting, so I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that is the updates for now. Um, I'm relieved that they they couldn't see more on the ultrasound. I'm actually relieved because again, I don't want to be like held up from my surgeries by a bunch of tests or something. I'm glad that they didn't look at the whole abdomen or go looking for other stuff. Because I'm A, not ready for that, and B, I I I really just want things to be direct and simple and straightforward. I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of like sidetracking and what ifs and stuff. Like that just seems like a lot. So anyway, that's where things are at for me, and that's the update. I will probably record again maybe on Friday. I have an appointment on Wednesday with my doctor, and then on Friday I have an appointment with my surgeon. So, not my surgeon for this surgery that I'm needing, the hysterectomy with the vaginectomy. The surgeon who did my top surgery and who's doing all of my phalloplasty, along with another surgeon who most of my stuff will be through the same. He's a great surgeon, like so far, awesome. Yeah, but on the 4th, we decide for sure about the donor site, and we decide for sure about when to start electrolysis. Exciting! Anyway, hopefully things will move forward with this current surgery because everything else is held up by it, and this person will be content with this radiology thing, and just do my surgery. And hopefully it will be soon. Hopefully I can get on the schedule now. Be a huge relief. Anyway, that's how things are for the moment. I probably will again record